Hello and welcome to Spitfire, Season 2, Episode 16. I have made a glorious return to the podcast because Tunn is just useless, essentially. But of course, he will be here with me, doing bits in the background and try not to type and ruin it for you now. We are on Spotify and other, podcast channels. But more important, our guest for this week, a good friend of ours. Looks like he's got makeup on, but he doesn't. He's just that beautiful. It is, of course, Momo. Momo, how are you?
I am fantastic. It's 3 p.m. and I figured out I think I can do this. And Tunn can't even control it. But no, apart from that, I'm good. It's the afternoon for me, so I'm nice and chill. And I wasn't on the last one. I think we both missed it, myself and you, Brice. But excited to be back, chat some COD, and yeah, just hang out.
Love that. Sounds good to me. All right, well, let's get straight into this one. Some announcements coming in now from the franchises, and I don't want to go into too many things because I will end up on a rant at the drop of a hat for this one, not this hat. But, teams are starting to announce, their players coming forward. Not announce the team names, which I still think is a bit strange. You think the brand thing would be the first big push, but players are coming out. London, Minnesota, and New York announcing what players they have, with more coming thick and fast, and of course, managers and coaches coming through. What stood out for you, first of all, Tom?
To be honest, the London announcement did actually catch me off guard a little bit. Just after we spoke to Wuskin last week, obviously he was saying, "Oh, well, I'm not supposed to be teaming with my brother, etc." But then, of course, the whole
clearly bullshit.
Yeah, well, it was clearly bullshit. Some of the questionable social media tactics from London we'll not get into too much, I suppose, but yeah, that one caught me off guard. I was quite surprised to see them going together again, although not displeased by it. I think that's a good co-starting three, and from what I've heard in the rumours we've seen, the other two should be a nice rounded out squad for London. Other than that, though, the Minnesota lineup, quite like that. Again, it's all good foundations at the moment. I think everybody is really concentrated on getting themselves a hold of 3 solid players and then going from there and sort of seeing where the game sort of takes it. And right now, I think the state of play is it's pretty even across the board. I haven't necessarily seen one team announced so far that is way above, of course, because we haven't seen everybody be announced. So I think it's still going to be very interesting to see how things do develop. But yeah, I like the London team so far.
Phil?
You're too loud, Tom, by the way.
I'm too loud.
We had this whole pre-show for this.
Mate, I don't know why it's messed up. It was working perfectly fine the other day, but I have no idea.
Might be a little bit further away.
Yeah, that might be the way, but I have no idea why it's not working as well.
No, it sounds great to me. I'm just saying what the chat's saying.
You sound loud to me, but that could be just me. Go on, Phil. Talk, what do you think about the team announcements?
I think Tunn said that he wasn't going to go too much into it. I think the team announcement started off absolutely horrifically. The worst thing I've ever seen for a franchise spot of a huge organization that is COD London. It is the most embarrassing thing I've ever... It was honestly... If it was anyone else, I wouldn't care. But the fact it was London, I was like, oh, this is the one I wanted to be good.
Do you think that's the problem? You care too much? Because I know for me that was an issue.
Yeah, I think it was, because let's just say that was Paris. I would have laughed, and I would have laughed at them probably, and I wouldn't have cared. But it was the representation of, because CWL London was so good, and it was better than arguably some may say champs. It was the best major by far, and then that's how we were represented, and it was just frustrating because I had such high hopes. The players that they were announcing were actually fantastic. The likes of Scraps and Dylan have just had awesome years. I think we all knew that Scraps was teaming with Wuskin. But apart from that, I think it was certainly stepped up for Minnesota. But, I actually expected more. Minnesota, I think their announcement got a lot more hype than it kind of deserved because of how bad London was. But, when Chicago gets announced, I watched Hex vlog this morning, he's getting excited about it all. And I expect the content to be ramped up even more. I think we saw, Crowder was announced as the Atlanta, and I think RJ was assistant coach. But the announcements are starting to get better and better and better. But I think, like you guys said, I want to hear about the full rosters. I want to hear the names of these teams. But I think we've been kind of eased into it. London was absolutely garbage, and I hope they improve. Minnesota was better, and then we're starting to see the content ramped up. And Zuma today, I think was a good one. I think that was a nice way of doing it.
It was okay.
It wasn't anything dramatic, but it was like, it looks like he's kind of the figurehead, though. It looks like he's kind of the guy at the moment, and it's not necessarily his team, but I think he's going to be a large part in New York.
Okay, so I wasn't going to go into this, but I feel like I need to explain something for people listening to this podcast, because I've heard a lot of things over the last couple weeks, and it may go some way to explaining why everything is not as good as it could be at the moment. Let's put it this way, right? Right now, players are making the stuff. These franchises, a lot of them aren't esport backgrounds. If they are, they're brand new esport backgrounds, and they're kind of coming in, they're trying to build from nothing. So the problem is that the staff really aren't in place. That London announcement, I agree, was shocking. I think I cared too much about it. Like, really, I was like, these are people I really like. I really love Dill, Scraps, and Waskins. Love them. Big fan of the London COD team. It was shockingly bad. You're a 25 million franchise. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's humble for London COD." I honestly thought that was a terrible thing for the fans to say. It's like, "Oh no, it's fine. You can put in low effort because it's English and it's humble." And I'm like, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. England has a fantastic reputation for being complete dog shit on the world stage. But it wasn't good enough, and honestly, someone should be fired. But I think the problem is, some of these people in these positions aren't the right people already. There is no, directory of Shockwave. Just so you're aware, it's not a week, it's several months. But it's just one of those ones where you can't do that. I honestly think people deserve better. And if you don't think people deserve better, then you should really have a look at what you actually want from a spot. So I don't know, man. I'm just disappointed with a lot of things I've been hearing. I do question why, if things weren't ready, it was put out. I don't know. I just got this feeling like, and it may be just me, right? It may be just me, or maybe you've said the same thing I have. There is about $500 million of infrastructure going into this franchise league. Please don't tell me you think that we have lived up to that $500 million infrastructure yet. I'm waiting for the ball to drop. There is going to be this huge press release, huge announcements, but for some reason we seem to be doing it like these sort of this tiny dribs and drabs at the moment. I don't really know why. I like some of the teams being put together. Some of the teams actually look half decent. My worry is that they're not being put together by educated people. They're being put together by friends.
Yeah, I've got a huge concern. I see as well, like the thing that Shockwave said as well, which isn't the case, but also Tom Arnold in the chat just said London need to invest in photographers and videographers. The thing is, London is owned by Rec Global, and Rec Global have teams associated with like League of Legends. They have teams associated with like the biggest of biggest esports. They have whole content teams, and I reached out to kind of them. I was like, what the hell was that about? And some of them, to put it bluntly, was like, I can't believe this is happening. And we have a whole content team, videographers, photographers, people who is their dedicated job, and they just weren't used. They weren't utilized. And that's where I'm just like, well, whose idea was it to go tweet? Whose idea was it to record Scraps picking his nose at the start of the video, scratching his butt, and like, it riles me up so much. And the reason it does, it goes back to the fact that I care. I'd usually laugh it off, but it was an embarrassment for, I think, everyone from the UK. And I think people...
it was embarrassment for COD.
He was just, he's being himself. He was a bit funny.
Bear in mind, there's been brags going on about how much their contracts are worth. Like, they talk about, everyone's banging on about $1 million contracts and all this malarkey, right?
Yeah.
Like, so sitting on that sofa, dealing with Scraps, like, what? That could easily be $500,000 a year in salary.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
but again, I think especially us three, we want the best for that team, and I think we want that team to shine. And I think they were shining for the wrong reason. But the money that's going into each spot, they've got content teams, they've got people in place, they've hired people obviously for COD, and I get that that's new to some of these people. But again, with the amount of money. Let's say I was to invest in something that I have no idea about, right? If I was to invest millions of dollars into something, if I've got that amount of money, I've got that amount of money to get the right people in who do know what they're doing. I could invest in anything, and I'd pay for someone who has that background experience to kind of.
And I even think like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure any of this out though. Like, I mean, we had Stealth posted on Reddit about what they could have done, and immediately that was a million times better. Yes, it costs a little bit more money, but like that's the point, though. It's the point of how much these spots are costing, and it's just sort of undervaluing certain areas of whatever you're doing, whether that be announcement, whatever. But it is then undermining the quality of the league to a point, because everyone's like, well, is this a joke? Like what? Like, and I mean, we're not going to get too much onto it, because I said we do want the best for this London team, but like the whole social media strategy they had beforehand was still something I spoke about last week. It was weird, and I didn't agree with it. I thought it was a pretty bad idea, but it's just things like that happening where you're like, I don't know who's been making these decisions for this to happen. There is plenty of people. It's not rocket science to figure some of this stuff out for me personally.
Here's one of the things, and this isn't actually about London. This isn't about London. I had a dozen pros jumping in my DMs recently, and funny, this is London is the team is not about, but teams are being made, and this is I actually brought this up on Twitter earlier, based around friendship groups. This is how I think recruitment for any of these franchises should go. They need to find people knowledgeable in the scene, have those people find the right people to start building a franchise, and you start with the right GM. You then get that GM to hire the right coaching staff. Once you have that, then you start to look at basically how you start wanting to get your team, your culture, all this sort of build up, right? You want to make sure that when these players come in, they're playing in the kind of the mindset where it's for the team, and you don't get to kind of pick who you play with and all this sort of malarkey, right? However, what's actually happening, which is quite disappointing, is that they're picking up players randomly, and these players are picking up their friends, and then these players and these friendship groups are picking up their friends to staff, people who maybe don't have the same coaching background. There are a few orgs I've heard are going outside of Call of Duty esports for coaches who are more mainstream coaches, and I think that's fine. I think that's a good decision by upper management to get somebody with real-life coaching experience involved to help the people who know the game. I just dislike the fact that people are being are walking into these jobs who shouldn't be in there. I strongly disagree, and I do think in the next year, 2 years, we'll see a strong change in position for some of these teams where they'll realise they've got the wrong people on board, and those people will be fired.
There's too much money on the line for it to go wrong for people, though. It's not to the point of where it has not been serious whatsoever. Like, well, I don't want to say it's not been serious, but like the past few years, you could probably sort of get away with having people cruising along, but there is not been that much money invested into these teams over the past few years, and I think it's just the point now where there's so much money on the line. It's not necessarily like about like pride or anything about that, even though it should be. You should still be proud of how things are turning out for your organization. Is the fact that this money is being put in, and you're supposed to be advertising this ADL, and it just hasn't come across very well. And look, I think people are going to think we're harping on about London, but there's been others here and there.
My whole thing wasn't about London. That's the thing. I wasn't even talking about London. That's not how I believe London went down. But it's disappointing so the traditional way to do it is, like I said, you need a coaching staff. They need to be educated, and they need to figure out how to bring these players in, meet with these players, and bring in the right people to have the right culture, because we can't have previous years where it's friendship groups and some pro throws a bit of a fit because he didn't like the way the team's been practicing or someone was late. At the moment, my biggest issue is that I don't see the culture changing in teams where these players are more professional than they were last year. I think it's going to be more or less the same old thing, but with more money on the line.
Pretty much.
I think some teams are shooting themselves in the foot. Some aren't, though. And you just know, and I know, like that Chicago COD is a prime example, and this is saying it before it's happened. We all know with Hex in that corner, that will be done right. Whether that's content, whether that's who they pick up, whether that's who their staff is, whatever, it'll be done right, because Hex won't allow, and again, I may be wrong, but I'd firmly believe I won't be wrong, he won't allow that to happen. And I feel like there are other franchises as well, not just Chicago, which will be like that. But it's concerning when not every single franchise is like that. Because if you look across sports, which is, kind of whatever franchise based, like whether you're a lower league team or a higher league team, like that, it's still quality content. Whether it's viewed as much, it's a different story. But like, you need to go in, and that's why I love Reciprocity as a brand and an organization. Was they were doing things from a very kind of high quality aspect. They were doing things just like other huge organizations, but they weren't seen as a huge organization. But they were still putting in that effort. They still had kind of the right idea. You could see that Rec understood esports. And that's why I think we were all kind of huge fans of them and what they did. The first thing I thought was when the London announcement came out was, imagine if Rec did that announcement. Because I know obviously Rec was primarily like your UK-based team in the CWL last year. Like, imagine if Rec did that announcement, how different that would have been.
Yeah. I know we've been harping on a lot about this, and here's the problem, right? We could just all sit here and say nice things. However, that would be about a 4-minute podcast, and then we'd go off. Because we all know there's a lot of big things coming. We all know that there are great announcements and great movement within the world of Call of Duty esports, and we are entering a new era of the esport, which, we're all very happy to see move forward. I know all of us have been in the Norbreck in Blackpool many years ago, sleeping on the worst beds in the world.
Good breakfast, though.
Yeah, and now I'm happy to see these players get the money they deserve. I love it. I love the fact that these players are securing the bag. Don't get me wrong. I do think some of the contracts that I have seen already are overblown a little bit. I think we've gone straight in for franchising, and everyone's seen the money and gone, yeah, that'll do nicely. And also that is going to be what happens when you have big venture capitalists come in. Don't kid yourself. Some of these companies, and I don't mean this in a negative way, they are investing for their return either in 5 or 10 years because they can see that spot being worth more. They don't necessarily give two shits about the esport. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, that sounds bad, but that is just business, and that is how the world turns, all right? It's not something you should be going, I hate them. It's just going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. It's just a business thing. Take the emotion out of it and just understand that's how these gears start spinning. I just want to see a better infrastructure go in for these players. I want to see more professional coaches. I want to see. I just want to see these organizations be built the right way. Because what I don't want to see is in 6 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, is these teams have the same old problems, the same old troublemakers. They're just picking up random players and trying to make something work because the people they've got in power don't have the authority, the knowledge, the courage, all the the mental fortitude to make the right decisions. And it sounds really bad, but I hope some players cross the line and get dropped, because I think that has to happen with what we've got now before people start wising up. I don't want to see a superstar try and dictate a team, because that's not how championships are made, and that's not how I think it should go. And that may be just because I've been watching a shit ton of NFL stuff behind the scenes recently. But I am.
You watch NFL, bro?
No, I bring it up every week. And do you know why? Because I see those stuff before every single week, and I love the culture behind those teams. I love the fact that it's the organization and the GM and the coaches all the way down. They bring players in. These players toe the line, and you buy in. You buy into a culture and a way of playing for the team, and you're playing for the team, not the individual. And then outside of that, then you play for the individual with your brand deals and all that sort of bullshit. But I don't know, right? Like I am, the hype is starting to gather now because these teams are announcing, and of course the game is just around the corner. So let's actually switch tactics, because I don't want to rant, and I've already spoken about way more than I wanted to about this.
You love ranting.
I know. Someone just said it's weird to see me in here saying things and not tilting. Let's talk about Modern Warfare, because I know you covered it last week, Tunn.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but you did a shit job. So here's why I want to talk about it, right? There have been a lot of things said about it in the press at the moment. And I don't want to be negative about the game. I want to talk about the game from an objective point of view, where we discuss the minutiae and the details about it and how it's going to go for. Please bear in mind that we haven't seen any details of it right now, how it works in a competitive setting. The first thing we're going to have to talk about is the minimap. I don't know anybody that thinks it shouldn't be back to normal.
Yeah,
wait. I say that. I'm telling a lie. I will put a caveat on that. Apart from the idiots over on the Modern Warfare sub, fuck them.
Yeah, don't get me started because it's been actually ridiculous how some of the public guys or just the normies are being coming across on this. I mean, I said the same last week that once they actually put the map in, there was an immediate improvement. Don't get me wrong, but it still wasn't where we actually want it to be. I would say I still think the red dots are in. Or should be in, I should say. I just don't understand why it even ever got taken out. Like, who said what we don't need is the minimap? Who said that? And then who said that? Who then approved that they were right in Activision to then carry this decision through? Truly bizarre. But I think the thing is as well that is the way that the game is amplifies how different it was. Just from all the positions that people can sort of sit, camp, etc., you would sort of know what's going on because you'd be able to see them on the minimap, and then campers would sort of get punished a little bit because you couldn't sit in the same spot as people and know where you are. But then, I think you said on Twitter, Bricey, what's the point in suppressors now in the minimap they have? What's the point in them?
Suppressors used to do two things, right? They would hide you from the minimap and they'll give you less damage over range. Now it's just less damage over range and your noise is a bit suppressed. I'm not going to lie to you, I can still hear you with a suppressor. Everyone can.
Yeah, it's just a different noise.
Yeah.
Instead of a clanky noise, it's just a little bit more subtle, but you still hear the direction it comes from. I mean, my two cents on the minimap is it goes back to, I feel like every year, obviously, COD changes and, we've gone from boots on the ground to jetpacks and stuff. It feels like, something's got to change. You can't just bring out a new game. And I feel like they've tried to go, let's go big and bold. Let's go and change something. And I just don't think the minimap should have been that. I think we've all been playing this game or this franchise now for 10 plus years, and it is a staple. And I think minimaps have changed. Minimaps have been different, but like it's always been there. And at first, I definitely, I tried to be positive about it. I was like, okay, if the minimap's gone, what's the positives? Does it mean that at a pro level, you've got to be more aware? The communication's got to be more on point. You've got to be sharp or whatever. And I just think maybe those things could be true. Maybe those things you would have to be, more aware, and the comms have got to be better. But like, I just don't see it. I think it's just more of an issue. And I think straight away they realized the uproar in everyone wanting it back. Then they tried it, but with different red dots, whatever it was. And then they tried it fully. And I think everyone chilled out a bit. And everyone was like more focused on actually critiquing the game. And people wouldn't critique the game because all they could think about was the minimap and how I wouldn't have got killed there if, I had a minimap. And I think the minimap as well, one of the things people forget, it outlines the actual map. Like if you're a noob as well, like you're picking up the game, like it kind of directs you around the map. It directs you like, oh, you can't go left here because that's the edge of the map. You don't go in there. But yeah, minimap for me, it's got to stay. I don't think it's something that we would ever kind of go, let's get rid of and it'll be loads of fun. I think it's good. We tested it for 24 hours and everyone hated it. But yeah, I just want it to stay the same. And now I can focus. Yeah, now I can focus on the other game. I was very open to the ideas and like
Brice Tunn. See, I don't mind big changes. We've said this, right? I don't mind.
Yeah,
I hated it.
I don't mind big changes. I don't mind trying things. I don't mind trying to take the series in a new direction. I understand why the developers did it. However, having good intentions and trying new things does not mean that thing is, that's our de facto now. I think it's better with the minimap. Like I played League Play on Black Ops 4 last night. The amount I use the minimap is fairly large. Like you just flick at it and you can basically figure out roughly where your teammates all are, especially with 5 people on the map, even going with full comms. We've all played at that level where we can communicate while we play. I'm terrible at it anyway, but it helps you give a deeper understanding. I really, really dislike the argument that it's a more realistic simulation because Call of Duty is not where you go for your realistic shooter. Go play Operation Flashpoint Dragon Rising if you want to really.
By the way.
Yeah, but you will crawl for 20 minutes and then get shot from some bloke you can't see who's a half a kilometre away.
Yeah, but then you understand that that's that type of game. It's the fact that they've transitioned into what seems to be a different genre. Well, not quite, but they've changed the core dynamics of Call of Duty, which was pick it up, shoot shit with your friends for half an hour. Cool. That's what COD was about. But now it's like I have to check every single fucking corner, and it's.
Call of Duty is what is known as a twitch shooter. It's fast, run and gun, reflexes. You can play it slow if you want to, but it's twitch. It's small, tiny decisions in a fast-paced game mode. And the minimap, it turns out, is quite important towards that. But also, there are some things, like we haven't seen all the maps, we haven't seen it in a competitive setting. I was enjoying the beta. Once you got into it, play with some friends and just kind of chilled out and ignored some of the spawn stuff. Much, much better. I enjoyed it when the minimap came back. I enjoyed it once I started getting the attachments onto the weapons. I genuinely did enjoy the beta. I just wanted more of it, and I think it becomes stale as I played it. Everybody in the Call of Duty community played it to absolute death. We all did. We all know we did as well.
Yeah, I think that's just a beta, though, isn't it? That's just one of those that it happens when you've only got a small sample size. I think, when you play the same map over and over again, it doesn't matter what game mode you're on, you're on the same map, it does become a little bit relentless, doesn't it? I enjoyed it when they brought Ground War in, though. I was actually surprised. I liked that, and I was surprised to see the community, especially the competitive COD community's reaction to that one. I was fully expecting everyone to be like, well, fuck this shit, 32v32, biggest map on the bloody planet. But everyone seemed to really take to it. I enjoyed it as well. I thought, you had the full minimap in Ground War as well, which was always a positive, but I think it worked out really nicely. I don't think, don't get me wrong, the tanks weren't ideal, but I don't think they were like over the top. I think you could blow them up fairly simply. I thought the map that we played was pretty good as well, especially with the objective game mode that we played. I think it was just a big domination, wasn't it? The guns, with the gunsmith, you can switch it up, so you are playing with these long range maps. Like I was just throwing on technically the long barrel onto my M4 and change it to a completely different weapon. I think it's made for that sort of thing. It can be, at least anyway, have that sort of inclusion, and I thought it was added in quite nicely. But I think you're right, though. In general, it did become slightly boring towards the end, but that's mainly just because it's a small sample size, I think.
I think it's also, and this is one of the things I do always preach, right? I always preach this with this kind of thing. Please bear in mind, like, if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching us live, we are competitive players. We play this game differently to your standard pub stomper, and your standard pub stomper doesn't understand how mechanics work or spawns work or anything works. They're just morons who like to sit in corners and try to get their kill streaks. We understand this game slightly differently. Whether you think that's right or wrong, it's regardless. We understand it differently. We understand, how to track 10 players on the map at the same time. It's something that other people don't do, and I know this because I used to play frequently with casuals in a LAN center near me while I was playing competitive, and they just don't understand the game the same way we do. You only have to start playing GBs, and you completely change your mindset. Happened to some YouTubers I know. You probably remember the old Lightning Pandas team. After they started getting into competitive, I was genuinely told this. They said, we have completely ruined pub stomping gameplay because they can no longer jump into pubs and enjoy the game like they used to because they now know different. But I think, bearing in mind, we haven't seen this at a competitive level. I'm looking forward to GBs, ranked play, all that sort of thing, and that is going to make a big difference. I didn't play pubs on Black Ops 4. I didn't play pubs in IW. I didn't play any of these public games. I've basically played Blackout and League play for Blackout 4. I don't know what pubs is like. Honestly, there are maps. I couldn't name the maps in pubs. I have 100%. No idea what they were.
Yeah.
And it's a different game.
It's completely different. I think we do play it, obviously, in a different environment, and probably the majority of people who are listening to this podcast play it in a similar environment to ourselves. And, the people we talk to on social media and stuff, like, they're all around kind of the esports world, if that makes sense. But I think for your casual viewer as well, they're the people who buy the game every single year and make multi-millions for whoever develops the game, whatever. I think it is important to kind of cater to both. And I kind of that's what I kept telling myself when I was playing the beta was, well, that's annoying. This is annoying. I was getting mad. I could only play for like 2-3 hours at a time because I was getting so frustrated. But you have to think, like, I wouldn't play Black Ops 4 pubs for 2 or 3 hours. So why would I play this for 2 or 3 hours? I'm super excited for Search and Destroy in this game mode. I'm very excited for just custom games, just whether it's, a 5v5 domination on a Hackney Yard or whatever with certain rule sets. And I think, like, the amount of claymores we all died to, the amount of stupid stuff, what we would class as stupid, but you go down to your local bar and you speak to your average Joe and like, dude, I got a 2-piece with a Claymore yesterday, and you're just like, I hate you. Well, that was probably the highlight of their 3 maps that they played that night. So it's just we just kind of have to wait. But the actual core of the game, I really enjoyed, and I had to kind of keep telling myself that the weapons I liked, the variations. I really like the attachment kind of stuff. I felt like you could stack a weapon or even 2 with overkill. But when we got our cap raised as well to like 30, and we started unlocking different stuff that we weren't used to in like level 10 and level 20, that's what I'm looking forward to. A custom lobby where everything's unlocked. Hope so. And you can just kind of make the rule sets as competitive as possible. Then I think it's going to be incredible. Because like COD 4, we played competitive S&D, and that had Claymores in, but you also had Bomb Squad. You had like all these different things.
Not the competitive COD 4 I played.
I know, but like GBs and stuff.
We play both. We you'll play. What I'm trying to say is when we have a rule set, I think it's going to be very good, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I think that what is everyone is looking forward to, isn't it? It's hard to get a real bearing. Like that's what I had to tell myself. I mean, look, we were having like mini arguments on WhatsApp where they're like, "Oh, you need to stop taking so seriously, Tom," because I was getting so fucking mad about it. But then I did have to sort of take a step back and realize to myself, I'm playing pubs. Like, this is how you know.
Play Black Ops 4 pubs. It's stressful.
Oh god, it's horrible. Like, but at the same time, I think you're fully right with what you said about the core gameplay. Feels really promising. I think a lot of people have seen this on the reveal, etc., and were like, "Oh, it looks clunky," but I think it just feels smooth. To be honest with you, I think that as a whole, the movement, everything, once you get used to it, I think yes, it's slower, but I wouldn't say it's clunky. I think in general, so far it's promising. I think a lot of people are, myself included, were too attached to the negatives at one point, whereas I think if they bring a full mini map in, if the maps, I don't think some of the maps we played were that great, but let's be honest, they were big maps, like Afghan and Grezna Raid, horrible, like truly awful. But we'll not get into it too much. It's not going to be a comp map, let's be honest. So I think, well, you never know. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, I think, if we get good maps, mini-map back in, I think we're in for a cracking year in general. I think the game as a whole, at its core, is very, very solid.
Yeah, I think so. Someone said another thing, and here's a few things. Like, some of the lighting needs to be changed. That was obviously a big complaint. The Claymores. Just go back to the EMW Claymores. Just have 2 big red lines come out, give us a click. That's all we need. When Claymore, I think they patched Claymores halfway through the beta, by the way.
Did they not make the lines?
I was shooting Claymores and they were still killing me, and I was like, Claymore, you haven't got me. Bang! Oh, I'm still dead. Like, but I just expect those.
The first ones were ridiculous, though. They were stealth mines, literal stealth mines. Couldn't see them. You were just going to die. There was nothing you could do. Like on the NW, you could occasionally jump around a corner, jump over a Claymore or whatever because of the positioning, or get away with it.
Yeah, you get time. It felt like the timer on these Claymores was like you didn't really have any time to sort of get away with it.
If you don't have the perk, you can't counter them.
And there's no like bomb squad where you can actually see them, or engineer, or whatever you want to call it. Like, there's nothing like that. It was frustrating, but again, it was that you died to a Claymore and you just told yourself, I'm playing a beta. It's all going to be okay. See you later, Brice. Oh,
what have you done?
I didn't do anything.
Why are you just lying to me? What have you done?
I may have pressed the wrong button. But all right, let's move on from the beta then, because speaking of a change in mechanics, let's talk a little bit of Blackout, because we haven't covered a lot of Blackout this year because there hasn't been a lot of competitive for it. Blackout After Dark stopped. I'm
somewhat disappointed that it wasn't used more this year.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to see full, 16 teams jump in and go for it.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things like we spoke about, like behind closed doors about it, like, and it was supposed to be, as far as I'm aware, we were supposed to be doing more with it, but never happened. But yeah, a shame.
I would have won. Well, that's why I never was invited to Blackout After Dark. I would have.
That's it, Brice.
The amount of updates that Blackout has actually had, from like the fog and the rain and the sun, and then the not the sun, but the kind of shine. Like, it has updated a lot, but it was just too slow at the start.
Yeah.
And what was really sad for me, one of the worst things about the whole situation was the PC scene, which we're not really a part of, but the PC scene loved Blackout. And I had a lot of friends who were Battle Royale players, and they played it and they said Blackout is the best thing they've played in forever, and they want to play it. But that just kind of died so quickly. And the console, we can jump in now. We can play solo quads, whatever, and we'll get 100 people in the lobby instantly. It's great. But it really sucked, I thought, for the PC scene to die so quickly because there was just so lack of support.
Do you think they changed? Because they changed the map a couple of times, but then changed it back. We're still playing the same map we always had done. The biggest additives this year were Hijacked and Ghost Town. And Ghost Town is aptly named because they stuck it in the middle of nowhere. And Hijack continuously moves and doesn't have a good route into it. The problem being is it's the same thing that Fortnite had and their love-hate relationship with Tilted Towers. You basically drop firing range Rivertown or Barnes and just in that area because you know you're going to get a fight. You know, it's one of these things that you end up dropping there. And I don't know. Like for me, I love Blackout and I still play it now. I was playing it last night. I'm playing the new mode. It's had its ups and downs. Yeah, it's had its ups and downs in modes. The new one's kind of middle of the park for me. Let's talk about that then, because that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up rather than talk about the history of Blackout. So that last night, the night before last, they dropped a new. It's the Dark Divide, right? Borderlands style graphics, cell shading essentially, and tanks, new weapons, new operator, rocket launchers. I actually like it. I don't mind it. You got a jetpack, you got unlimited grapple.
It's like Black Ops 3 Blackout.
It does make it chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, we were speaking about it just before we went live. I was thinking that it would have been better without the tanks, personally. I think...
I don't mind
I wanted just normal graphics. I'm like, why have they taken great graphics and just made them not great graphics?
Because it's superheroes, bro.
And superheroes, I was enjoying the jetpacks. I was enjoying people putting Guardians down and me be like, see ya, I'm going up and above. Like, I love the new aspects, but like, I don't get why I had to be like this, playing it. I was like, what's going on? Is that a tree? Is that a person? I don't know. Like, that was the bit that annoyed me. I just kind of didn't get... I got what they were trying to do, but I loaded in and went, oh, Borderlands 3. Like, I just felt like it was like a copy and paste, and I don't like it when games do that. It felt like...
Do you know the worst thing?
Like that, but I love the fact that, again, we're, mid-September, and they've given us something new. Much like they gave Grand Wars at MW. Like, I appreciate them giving us stuff, even if we hate it, even if it sucks. They're giving us something for us to play. Alcatraz was the same. I still play Alcatraz, and I jump back and forward because it's a different pace.
Do you know what I think bothered me the most about the new update? It's just like it was so much at once that I couldn't tell whether or not I liked certain aspects of it. Like the new jetpacking thing feels like absolute chaos when you go in now.
Yeah, there's so many different things about it.
They also changed the way you drop in. Like, you actually start with better and better gear, and it gets worse as you drop in. Now, I quite like that, although it makes it harder to get Ws.
That's what I found. I found it was hard to win these games.
Yeah, I actually dislike people dropping with armor in general. Although, don't get me wrong, when I have it, it's a massive bonus. But my issue being is that when people drop, they usually have a great advantage. So you can get 3 people drop on you, and good chance you're going down.
That does my head in.
Which is right, though. I mean, you shouldn't be getting dropped on by 3 people and surviving, really.
Yeah, but they've died. That's the thing.
No, I know. I
always thought dying. Like, drop on you. Like, there should be like and there is kind of, but like a time limit, like to pull out that weapon. Because sometimes it's like they go drop, bullet, and you're back, and you've even if it's a one-on-one, sometimes
you hear that crack of the parachute, and that's it.
Yeah, and you're kind of panicking, and I find it on Alcatraz as well more than anything. Is like, it's just frustrating because you could just be in the middle of a gunfight, and that guy who's just landed, who's died 7 times in a row, gets the one up on you because you have got your 17th kill, and unfortunately you're in the wrong position. But the one thing I do like about the new game mode is I don't have to loot. Like, I land with a daemon and a toothache, and I'm like, okay, I want to kill someone. Where am I going? I can get there super quick. I'm going to rush at him. Oh, you're on that building? I've got an infinite grapple. Like, you're just going and going, and it's constant. And I think it can be really, really fun. But if that was the only game mode, I would think it would kind of get very boring very quickly.
I mean, you drop in with essentially the 2 guns you actually want for that game mode. Daemon and a Cordite. Like, you don't really want much else because all your gunfights are just flying about. Everybody's flying about.
This clip today
Of the Dead Silence cars.
No, it was him grappling
on the helicopter.
Helicopter, and it was man versus helicopter, and it was just grapple coordinate. He was just like he was just fighting everything. It was incredible. I actually haven't seen that other clip.
So that's one of the things actually brought up in there. Dennis says about the cars, the sound on vehicles is hit or miss. Sometimes you can hear a car from miles away, and I'll be like, "Oh, incoming! Here comes a car." It's roughly in that direction. Other times, that thing sneaks up on you like it's like the guy's turned the keys off and just goes through the hill.
One style. It literally is. Which there would be a skill in, if the car was slowing down, but it's not. It's still going full speed at you.
Can you
and you're like, can you hear that car?
Yeah, can you not remember how bad they were like initially when the Mustangs first got into it though? Like if they were behind you, they were literally silent. Like ridiculously quiet. People were literally just driving around in cars at the end of games because you couldn't hear people. You couldn't hear them at all. It's not as bad now, but I do agree. It's been one of the things that has tainted it slightly. But I don't know, man. I still love Hot Pursuit. I still think Hot Pursuit was easily the best mode that's been in there.
Well, apparently this is a variant, isn't it? It's supposed to be a variant.
Well, it's technically, yeah. But yeah, I think Hot Pursuit had the right amount of crazy, but not too insane.
I think again though, like us three will all probably say Hot Pursuit is our favorite. Go back to the kind of reference, you go down to your average Joe in the pub and you talk about Hot Pursuit to him and he's like, no, I'm playing solo and I'm sitting in Ghost Town. I've got my second kill and I'm staying there. And it's different for everyone. And that's what's kind of so good is you've got your solos. I've really been enjoying playing duos recently more than anything. But Hot Pursuit, they tease us and give us these amazing weapons like Locust and Peacekeeper, and they take them away, and I'm just lost without them. And it's just like, what do I use now? And you've got to go back to your old weapons. But I think the updates have been when they got rid of the water and they got rid of that. The sun was the worst thing in Blackout. I think that just angered me every time I played. I think it's been good, especially like the last 6 months of Blackout. It's just been fun to jump on. Oh, new update, cool. I probably won't play this superhero much, but it's there if I want it, kind of thing.
I think the biggest problem I've had is that Fortnite, and this is the same for everybody else. The Fortnite set the bar so high with updates and content and everything, that it was always going to be like, oh, well, they're not updating it enough because Fortnite were updating it every couple of weeks, and there was new seasons, and there was new bits on the map, and there was new maps, and then it was suddenly there was new areas of the map, and there was completely different mechanics. Whereas like COD haven't done as much because they've been like obviously restricted to being COD. Fortnite's sort of its own game, so I think they just really set the bar that high for how much engagement they had and that sort of thing. So that is where probably everyone's being a bit like critical of it. I think had Fortnite not been a thing, well, for one, we probably wouldn't have had a battle royale mode on COD, but at the same time, I think everyone probably would have been a bit more appreciative of how often they did update this game. I think everyone would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, they've kept it relatively fresh, but I think Fortnite not being there, it's maybe different.
Yeah, in fairness, I actually have some friends in the gaming industry, and they said you'd be surprised at how many game dev meetings kind of end up starting with how do we be like Fortnite.
Yeah, well, of course. Look how much money is making.
There are a lot of BRs coming down the pipe. A lot of BRs coming down the pipe.
People like BR. People like that.
It's a good game time.
People like MOBAs. People like MOBAs. People like Minecrafters. Like there's always a trend, and it's always a big trend. People remember, COD was the trend at one point. Call of Duty was the trend. Everybody tried to be like COD. And it'll be circular, BRs will fall out of favor in 3-4 years. It'll be something else. It'll be something new. And it always makes me laugh at people who slowly adopt and then try to go full in and go, oh, we're going to BR mode. It's like 3 years too late. It was like, there's a dozen of these things now, and it's not the best one out there.
I think so we need to see something really big come out shortly. I don't feel like we've had a new big one since Blackout, basically. It's been PUBG, H1 back in the day.
Apex was after.
Oh, Apex, I suppose. Yeah, Apex. Sorry, yeah, that was like a year ago. It's about due time somebody else released a BR that is very much on the mainstream, I'd imagine.
I'll tell you something though. Something a little bit interesting. There have been some failures. The Culling 2, for instance, terrible game. PUBG ripoff. That failed massively because of the cash in. But
there's always loads, but there's not many of them that kick off.
I don't even know what that is, but
yeah,
I'm probably
in fairness, they pulled it. It was so bad. It was so bad. Here's a question. Mr. Husky says, "What do you think about the Call of Duty New York team is alongside Zuma?" One of the reasons we don't kind of always speculate on who we think are playing in teams.
We know.
Is because there is a good chance that we know.
Yeah.
So it's not always fair of us to discuss that, especially when we're told things in confidence.
Yeah, you can't go, well, I heard this is potentially a rumor and just name the team.
Yeah.
I tweeted the other day, can't wait for the COD announcements. Some guy print screens all the rumored announcements like I've not seen this, like I'm just under a rock somewhere. And I just put announcements in capital letters. He goes, but they're all here. And I'm just like, you cannot be serious right now. Like, of all people, like...
Here's the funny thing:
we probably know more. Do we know all? Maybe not, but like we can't.
We can find out if we wanted to. Like it wouldn't be hard.
Yeah, of course.
But here's the thing: we could genuinely sit here if we wanted to and tell you what's happening. And for some, probably less Phil, but for me and Tunn, there'd be like no lashback against us. Like there's nothing they could do about it. We could just say whatever we wanted to, because we're not under NDA for these teams. We just get told things through the grapevine. Friends are friends. The pros all know where they are going. By the way, like it's
pretty much.
NDAs. For some reason, NDAs is just a foreign term for these pros when they're talking to their mates. No, I'll tell you where I'm going.
No, I can tell him as long as he doesn't tell anybody else.
You don't tell anyone else.
The whole team speak knows.
Honestly, I'm surprised the COD burner didn't start before. I mean, it was actually someone outside the scene because the pros, for some reason, are fairly good at not leaking it too much. But it's bad. But saying about that, someone said in the chat about Blackout. Do you think all the guns should all be in all the Blackout modes? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
God,
I think it's a bit rubbish that you have to unlock the guns to then use them, like to get them out the crates.
Yeah, I don't have any snipers in the crates.
Yeah, I don't have an M16 or a Vendetta in my crate, so that's me done in. I know.
I got my Vendetta.
Oh man, the Vendetta is so good.
The Vendetta is not fun though. That's the annoying thing.
Mate, you hear the noise there, and it's like I'm not even fighting. Yeah. I'm not even scrapping because they hit you in the head once you are. Well, as long as they have the right attachments, you are dead as a doorknob. I
actually, what I think was it shouldn't be the randomness of unlocking it. It should be like you go up the tiers. But I think it should be like tier 10, you get the Vendetta, tier 20. Like it is just game time, so it incentivizes you to play. But the randomness of like I've got a weapon bribe, and like could it be a Vendetta or could it be this really shit LMG? And you get the LMG, and you're like, great. Now I'm asking my teammates to drop me a Vendetta every time, and it is annoying. But
I'll do that.
I just haven't had that problem personally because I've been very lucky.
It's every time I play with bloody Vortex, he's like, "Oh, got a Vendetta," because he's got it unlocked, so he gets in the crate every time. And whereas I'm sitting here with a fucking tiger shark, like it's some sort of dickhead. Like I just can't use it at all. Horrible.
Well, it's not the best gun. I often have been pulling an M16 out for friends who just don't have it and they want to play with it.
Yeah, it's not the best. I don't hate it. It's not the worst gun in the game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not the Vendetta or the Peacekeeper, is it?
Great, but there's certain like overall weapon, Peacekeeper, Vendetta, and Locust.
Well, let's name what we think are the tier 1 weapons, the best weapons in the game of Blackout.
What now? Like just now?
Yeah. What are the best current weapons in the game? Peacekeeper, Vendetta.
I still think the SWAT's sort of there for me.
It's dropped a tier. It's definitely dropped out of the elite tier.
Well, I suppose if you're saying elite tier.
Locust.
I think the MOG 12 is still elite.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm trying to think, is there any other gun that
is the Javelina still there with the Locust, would you say, or you think it's not quite there?
I just don't pick it up because I always think I could have the. Do I actually have the Javelina? I think it's kind of like your Barrett and your M40. Like it's just preference. I think the Javelina is actually really, really good because of the fire rate, but I just prefer that Locust style.
I haven't played enough with the AN-94, but it seems to hit fairly hard.
Oh, I've not actually used that at all.
Which one's the AN-94 again?
It's only just been released in the latest updates.
Okay.
And then you have your standard snipers like your Paladin.
The Koshka was garbage at first, if you remember rightly, and then it got good, really good.
I still don't like it.
I love it, especially if you got one of the. Well, that's the thing though. If you got one of the variants, the MK2 variant, the sniper scope on it was significantly better.
I have because you can get that in operator form. Operator's good. Tell you what really dropped off. The biggest sniper nerf was the Outlaw.
Yes.
That, for me,
Alma
at one
was
point
deadly.
was the best sniper rifle by a million miles. And now it's just frustrating to play with it. You actually, it's especially in something
I
like,
leave it.
yeah, I've actually not been picking it up, and I snipe. That's all I basically do. The SDM is not very good. The Auger is trash.
Oof, Auger operator though.
Here's my list of ARs, by the way. Because you were saying the SWAT. I actually think the SWAT is quite far down on the AR list.
Did you think? I still pick it up over a lot of things.
It goes KA, Rampart, SWAT.
So third.
And then maybe the ICR is now on par with it.
I think I go, and I do understand where you come from. I don't like the fire rate of the Rampart. So I kind of go K and SWAT Rampart.
Yeah, because the SWAT's...
We're talking just base weapons.
The SWAT,
I love the tap SWAT as well at long range. It's like, you see someone, you line it up, you go on the head, it's like tap, 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 and like you can just like hit it as many times as you want fast, and it's elite. I love that gun.
Yeah, but, the tapping took a nerf. This is what a lot of people do. So the SWAT took a nerf in its first bullet accuracy. So if you have too long of a pauses between taps, you actually end up having a terrible gun. And it also means it's bad for snapping. I prefer the Rampart over the SWAT because it will drill somebody close range faster than just about anything else.
Yeah.
The KN's the most stable weapon at the moment, outside of like the Peacekeeper, which is just basically a cheat code.
It's a laser.
Yeah, it's Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper is just a joke. It's literally the most. I think I shared that clip with you for a little while ago of me just beaming people with the Peacekeeper to clutch the game because it's just better than any other gun.
Yeah,
I think if you talk SMGs, the Damon's the best. I mean, there's no two ways.
I think that's a tier one. I think that's a tier one weapon.
Oh wait, no, MP40. Yes, of course, the MP40 is ridiculous. But I think the MP40 and the MP40 is probably better. Actually, I would agree. But I think the Damon.
I choose the Damon every time.
The Damon has a good amount of range about it.
The Damon with a fast mag, extended mag, plus your grip, your long barrel, all with a silencer. That is kind of my go-to overall weapon. If I pick up like I can run Locust Damon, or I could run Peacekeeper Damon. I could have a Damon anything kind of thing. I could run Damon Mog, even though they're both close range. You can put 2 times on a Damon, and it's actually pretty good. Ridiculously or not.
See, I don't actually end up running an SMG outside the start of the game. I always
2 ARs.
I love rushing though.
I run sniper. I always think I can draw people close with a sniper or with an AR all the time. Apart from if they got shotgun, in which case a SMG is still going to be useless.
It is not all about the GKS. Sweet 22.
Do you think Modern Warfare has a BR? Do you think it'll be a good BR? I mean, if they do have a battle royale,
I think it could be potentially amazing.
TTK needs to go up, although it would be like PUBG, and I don't think that would be a bad thing because I really do like PUBG, PUBG is more intense than Blackout in terms of just like how stressed you are playing that game.
Yeah.
Unlike Fortnite or Blackout, where you know you can probably get away or bang somebody, in PUBG, if you get caught, you are done. Like, it's super stressful to have to do it that way. So, I don't know. People have been going back to PUBG. People really like PUBG.
I think if you were to, like, I don't know how much Ground War you played, but, like, on Ground War, the guns didn't feel too bad. TTK was obviously up close and personal, they're still dropping as quick. But, like, even if you were using the M4 at a good range, it still took a little while to kill somebody because obviously a range you're at. So if it kept it that way at range, it was fine. I think the TTK in general on Modern Warfare is a little bit quick, but I think it'll be okay on Blackout on a BR mode. I think it will be fine. And then again, you will be able to heal, etc. What you would imagine on some sort of BR mode for Modern Warfare. So I don't know. I think we'll see. I think realistically, the game would be nice for it though. I think. I just think that the slow pace and everything, it would be a very different environment to Blackout. I think as you're very right saying, it would be a bit more PUBG like.
It depends. Like Black Ops 4 and Blackout, like it's the same game, but the time to kill is different in both. If that makes sense. Yeah. Like traumas and level 3s, like that could be the exact same in Modern Warfare. If it does happen, like. You know, is there going to be armor? You know, there's no. I mean, there is technically body armor in multiplayer, but like it's very different. I think there's just a way of doing it. I think it could be very, very good. Again, I think it'd be if you had a map like I don't want to say that Ground War map, but I think they can definitely nail it. I think Blackout's been my favorite part of Black Ops 4, and I look forward to. I'd be surprised if they didn't do a battle royale.
I think so. All right, let's move on to questions from the chat. If you are watching, this is the part of the show where we will answer stuff that you put into there. Obviously, no super massive topics because we're not going to cover it for an hour. Because we always get asked, to break down all the franchise stuff. We'll break down some franchise stuff, but obviously nothing too overarching, I should say. So let's start then with $1 million player. Do you think the London COD announcement was done with the consent of senior staff?
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, you think so, yeah.
They all tweeted out after it was done. So they knew it was coming.
I heard a funny rumor of they wanted it to look bad, and I just thought this is you're digging yourself a hole.
Let's not get into it.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, we've already had our little.
John's got a good question in the chat, son.
I love this.
Where did I get my haircut? At a barber's.
Mate, you're looking. I like that haircut. I wish I had hair like Ton. Look at mine. It's all over the shop.
I think my hair's looking all right today, actually. Thanks, John.
It is.
I want to say it's a backhanded compliment from John there, but who knows? Who knows?
Go on, Bricey.
Wow.
I want to know where I can buy
where do you get your cut, Phil?
I'm all over the place. That's the thing. I think someone tweeted this the other day. I kind of don't care if they mess it up, it grows back. I just get the sides cut, and I don't care about my hair. As you can see, I've come on a podcast, and I can turn it into the Brice Tacular if I want. Go for this look.
Nothing looks that bad.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I go to anywhere that's close. And yeah, I pay like $30.
I'm very much like that. I go to the same place I've been going for years, and most people, think that's terrible. So it's quick. I don't have to talk to people too much, and I know exactly where it is. I'd actually freak out about to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm not.
What do you guys think will be the main modes in comp? Could there be more than 3? I really hope there isn't more than 3. 3 is the absolute maximum we should have. I like the way it sets up. It makes it different from a lot of esports, but I do like the way we have 3.
Yep.
And I think with this game, hard point, S&D control. That's it.
Hard
I like
point,
control.
S&D, CTF.
Oof. I'll give you CTF if the maps are done correctly, which they haven't been since Black Ops 2.
No.
I'm going with Blitz. What was the ball game again? I forgot that one.
Uplink. It's a drone, Phil. We were told many times it's a drone.
It's a drone, not a ball.
You're not allowed to use the word ball. It's not a ball, Phil. It's a drone.
We also weren't allowed to use the word head glitch, but that got thrown out the window about 10 seconds later.
What was it called in World War II? It was gridiron, wasn't it?
Oh, gridiron.
Oh, yeah.
Gridiron, and then activating a ball. But no, I can't believe
I don't know. Honestly, I think if the maps are done right, domination could be an option. But I've always been like a bit of a sucker for Domo. Honestly, just excited to see how S&D plays out.
What about cyber attack though?
No, I don't like it. But that's just me personally. Hard point. I want it in S&D hard point, and then whatever.
I hear you. Demolition
was
great. Sabotage. Oh, what a game mode.
Sabotage can't play competitive, and why.
I know it sucks. It sucks that it can't because it's great.
It's the best game. We can't
play it because it takes 3 hours to finish a map.
But by the way, anyone who was curious about what that conversation about a ball was a little while ago, I know myself got into a big argument about the uplink thing being called a ball in official terms. It was supposed to be a drone. And it's
it was a drone.
Never say that. But
it was always at champs. It was like, don't call it a ball. It's a drone. It's a drone that's shaped like a fucking ball. All right,
yeah,
let's call it a fucking ball.
Definitely a ball. And I just use basketball references constantly.
Of course.
Let's go for another question. Then they have different range. Oh, someone's asking about the KM. Someone's asking about range damage. Geber. Who's the best fit to finish off the London roster? Shockwaves. I am not going to tell you the answer to this one because, unfortunately, all 3 of us know who is on that roster. So anything we say to you... Go on then, Phil.
The best fit, clearly, to finish off that would be the likes of Octane and Slasher. Be a great squad.
Wow.
That would be the best. Yeah, that would be my go-to. If I was in charge, but let's see if London picked up those amazing players or not.
Matty running an SMG in that team, would he be? I think so. Even though the MP5 might as well be an AR.
Matt is actually on the bench. I've also, as the general manager of London myself, I've gone and picked up Priester, I've gone and picked up Dashi. They're all in there. No big deal. Simp's on there as well, but he might be a bench player. We'll see.
Do you want season tickets for all franchise teams? Yeah, sure, why not? Depends how many home and away games are going to play. I've heard it's going to be a bit weird the first year.
Yeah, nobody's really 100% certain on how it is actually lying yet. Well, Brice might be. I haven't got a fucking clue.
I know nothing, mate. I am just...
Yeah, I think we're pretty much out of the picture. Phil, what's going on next year?
I can't say.
Here's a good one. Why do you think franchises are not announcing their entire rosters? I will tell you why. First of all, I did point this out several weeks ago about franchises. It is, and I think I put this on Twitter, it is going to take a long time. Lots of negotiations. Also, please bear in mind that I don't think all the right staff are in the right places. So it does take a considerable amount of time to figure out who they want, especially, friends got to contact friends to pick them up. But couldn't help that dig. I think also it's a bit to do with the press releases and stuff. I don't know why we start getting it in dribs and drabs. I assumed we would have these full rosters come out. But also bearing in mind, some teams want the prestige of announcing early so more people look at their team.
Yeah,
otherwise it will get lost in the noise, and they don't want that. That's why things are being pushed out probably a bit faster than they should be. But I also suspect there is going to be a big press dump coming because the teams haven't got their names yet, although it's a really badly kept secret when they keep filing for copyright. And
there's not much they can do because they've got to actually file for copyright.
Yeah.
But
and that has to be on the internet, yeah.
Like it has to, it's frustrating. I just think it's a bit cheap to kind of go looking and diving into that. Like I actually don't want to know ahead of time.
No, I don't want to know. I want to know.
I just want it to be like, with a Chicago X, and this is our lineup. We've got 3 subs, whatever. I don't know, but I am excited. I do like how, let's say New York, for example, they've announced Zuma. So you just know, like, he's there, and then you're speculating, well, who Zuma's going to be with, blah, blah, blah.
I don't mind like a one-player announcement and then going from there. I think that's fine.
I like the idea of putting your franchise player first. I like the idea of putting a franchise player first, and then I want elaborate announcements. I want that guy in a helicopter jumping out the side, rappelling down into the facilities. That's what I want. I want some production value.
What we wanted was Scraps and Dylan and Wuskins all having tea with a fucking queen while it's being announced. God save the queen playing in the background. And then about 5,000 pissed British teenagers start shouting, "Fuck off LG" in the background. That's what we wanted, and we didn't get it. Okay? That's what we wanted.
I want Scraps dressed up as the queen. I've never known I wanted that now, but now I want it. I want Scraps dressed up as the fucking queen. If anybody, has his number, ring him now, get that done, and get it filmed.
Stick a Boris Johnson wig on him and have him be the actually. Don't want that.
Yeah, then you can just start
tasteful.
All right, let's move on. Favorite gun of the Modern Warfare beta?
M4 by a milli. I will say, when I initially used the FAMAS at the beginning of the game, I was like, holy shit, this is broken. But then,
I think.
No, I didn't think it was that bad. Once I started using it in general, like going up against a fully stacked M4, you're very rarely winning that gunfight. It's good, but it's not as good as the M4.
But I like the MP7 and MP5.
MP5's elite.
MP5, yeah.
I actually didn't snipe at all, except for when I picked one up out.
I did. Not fun. Not fun.
ADS is far too slow.
Yeah, it's hard to snip back in.
One bullet in with the Deagle though. That was fun.
I couldn't hear anything.
That was one thing with the Deagle. When I first heard about it being one shot headshot, I was like, this is going to be overpowered. I don't think it's actually that bad. Like it's just an aside on, but I think they balanced it quite nicely.
Yeah, it's one shot headshot, but every other gun kills you so fast, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
According to the rumors on Twitter, who do you think has the best team for this year?
On paper, you'd have to say Chicago, I think.
Yeah, I think everyone's gassing up Chicago. I'm looking forward to that.
There's another team. I forgot. I haven't.
Hex is about to drop the ball list of fucking all time as well.
I'm so excited. And it's going to make the others look even worse, which is going to be great. There was another roster though. Everyone's hyped about Chicago, and I think it was from the West Coast.
Intel, see what they're saying.
I think it might have been.
Well, Los Angeles Immortals, TJ, Dashi, Slasher, Kenny, and Cap.
I like the. I do like the London roster. We know what it is. I know.
Do you like the London roster?
I actually do like the London roster. I think I would pick up some
London roster.
I would pick up some subs for depth, and I know who I would pick up. But I do like the idea of the London roster. It mainly as it has some of my favorite players on it.
I think the rumored London
This is
roster,
of the rumored London roster.
Except it's not rumored because we know what it is. And I'm talking about the one that we know what it is, not the rumor, because I don't actually know what the rumor is. I haven't looked.
The rumor is Wuskin, Scraps, Dylan, Jaden rated.
Oh, okay. Well, I like my roster.
Yeah, mine with Slasher Noctane.
Yeah.
Oh God. No, put it this way: look, there is less spots this year. There is less spots for pro players, so the teams should technically be better. Technically,
I thought was interesting was our draft pick, which we all did.
Yeah.
Minnesota, their team was they picked up 3 players, which were all 4th picks, and it was like, again, it was no superstars, but they got in early and got their like core roster of like 4. Like what we saw is we would pick up that team. Honestly, people keep asking me about like certain time slots and when it is. I just want more teams to start announcing.
I just want the press dump. Give me the press dump. Tell me the team names. Tell me what's happening next year, and then let's get the announcements rolling.
Get Brice T. Helly and
yeah. In fact, I tell you what, come on Spitfire, announce it. Any franchise out there want to come on Spitfire and announce their new rosters? We'll quite happily rip you a new one when you announce. No, they can. I'd love to break some news on Spitfire. I mean, we could definitely do it better than some of the other ways. If you're going to release
in the oven, Lou.
Oh my God. Let's move on then, because we've been banging about that for a while. Right. Do you guys want the new S&D or the old-fashioned? It's the old-fashioned S&D. It's not even a question. Every single one of us, I don't even need to ask these, want the original S&D. We don't want the EMP one.
Oh, right, okay. You asked about new S&D. I was like, oh God.
What are you on about?
I don't think they've ever said that. They've never said that it's replacing S&D though. I think it was just a new, different mode.
I think I played that game mode twice, and I was like, I'm not into this.
I don't know, when I seen it in the reveal, I was like, oh, that could be good. But I only played a tiny little bit and couldn't really get a gauge on it. But I don't know. I think it's all right.
Yeah, that's it. Let's keep going. Does anyone else hear audio clips about UAV and their dreams since beta, or just me? Fun fact: during the beta, I actually just played a couple of games shooting down UAVs, and you can basically come close to the top of the scoreboard every single time doing it, because there are that many. That's all I was doing, and I was like, I'm actually ranking up faster here than I would be if I was enjoying the game running around. But yeah, there's way too many. No, we cannot discuss Blitzcrank's new range. With his Q. This is not League of Legends, unfortunately. Next few questions, and then I think we can probably wrap this up. Let's have a look. Who's got any good questions? What team am I playing for next year? None. I'm basically scum. But if there's any factors out there that are looking for the best goddamn GM you will ever see, this guy.
You slimer.
Mate, imagine me walking in. I'll get tattoos. I'll walk in fully tatted. That'll scare some people.
Are you 6'2"?
I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
Wait, just imagine I was fully tatted, plus 10 to strength.
I don't know if what you would. I don't know if I would want to see you tattoo. I don't know what you would have some weird shit. I think.
You wouldn't. You'd be in trouble, son.
I think no. I think Brice would be one of these guys that get loads of tribal tattoos.
No.
No, you get some anime shit.
I would have some. I would have
fucking
some
Goku's face on your back.
I would have Goku on a tattoo. I actually have part of a design for at least a shoulder to thing sleeve. And there are things in there from Warhammer. There are things in there from Dragon Ball Z. There are a few things. There'll probably be a few dice in there for D&D. I'm a nerd. I don't care. I think I'd have all the Call of Duties on there that I liked as well. I don't care. I'd enjoy it. I'd make it look great. Anyway, enough about potential tattoos. I'm looking for good questions in the chat. Someone asked about what he's have for dinner. How is casting working next year? I have no idea.
Nothing.
Phil, how's casting working next year?
Don't know. I mean,
anything to do with anybody apart from me and Brice.
I've heard rumors, but I feel like the talent are better at keeping rumors than players. So I think I can't say anything in terms of that. I just hope to be involved, as I'm sure you guys hope to be involved as well. It's like,
yeah, you really need to be involved. You live there.
I know, but like at the end of the day, like we all have contracts, and like all contracts end. Like who knows if the exact same talent team is going to be there next year? I don't want anyone to leave, but it's business is business, and we're going into a new era with new people in control, and Brice charges $300,000 per event, so it's very hard to kind of get in what you need. Look at Brice's face.
I do this for love. I don't even get paid. I do this for love. I shouldn't get. What are you on about? Yeah. I may be strong, but I'm not that fucking strong. What do you think of COD Pristini not being picked up yet? See, I don't want to talk too much about this because it annoys the crap out of me. The fact he hasn't been picked up just reiterates what I said on Twitter about there being some people in charge of franchises that have no business being there.
Here's a question from me to maybe you guys. Do you think, if the rumors are true, that London are going to shoot themselves in the foot by going full UK roster? Or would you have liked to see a core of UK with maybe a sprinkle of...
Well, I know who they wanted.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is that there was a rumor of somebody who they wanted.
Okay, Brice. Or let's say Brice was the GM or Tunn was the GM. Would you go for 5 UK players, or would you go for, your poster boy, Scraps, Wuskin, Dylan, whatever, and then add some flair of US, Spanish, whatever.
I'd have at least the majority as a UK based. At least the majority. Like 3 out of 5 players as UK players.
I'd have 7 to 8 UK players.
I mean, so if you were talking starting lineup.
So you'd have 7 to 8 UK players. That means you'd have 2 to 3 non-UK players who would be in the starting lineup. Am I right, Brice?
No. Here's the thing. I wouldn't think of it as just the starting lineup. Originally, you'd pick your starting team, but
that's how it should be done.
You have time.
Fucking cryptic answers.
You have time to figure out who's the best fits for your teams, and you can pick up 5 subs, and there will be players who you can put on a minimal contract before they make the starting team. So you have an opportunity to find out if somebody's going to be lights out before and put them into the roster to begin with.
Well, that's how it should have been done.
I would definitely have a core UK at the very least.
Yeah. If you're starting roster, I think you would at least have a core of 3. And then branch out. But I mean,
I don't think there's a problem with a full UK roster.
There's not a problem. There's not a problem. I just think
have much more UK people in.
You could tap into the US market a bit more as well and be like, oh, these guys are representing London. We can't talk about it too much yet. We'll be able to talk about it in the future. But who they had rumored, like potentially would have gone on the roster, I think it would have been very good for them. It would have been very good for them. It would have been, and everyone would have been like, holy shit. But
what's very good for him, Brice Tunn?
What would have been very good for them is who London were going to pick up and have not managed to get them.
Who's that?
We can't say, Phil. We can't say.
Nearly got it for your chat. I nearly load out a ton. I tried.
Right. Apparently, Dallas are close to announcing. Not now, but.
What makes you say that? Oh, just because they
said it. They said it. They literally said it. That's what kind of clued me in. Astro said it. All right, let's wrap this up, shall we? My Return to Spitfire, episode 16.
Your return. You were only away for a week.
I know, and it all fell apart without me.
Yeah.
Phil, last thoughts from you, buddy.
I mean, what was the topics again? MW. Excited for the competitive side of things. I think everyone's a bit negative at the moment because pubs are pubs and we're not pub players. But I think MW is going to be amazing. Talking about Blackout has made me want to play Blackout. I'm very hungry. It's 4:23 and I've not eaten anything. Glad that Brice is back to carry us through Spitfire. I'm kidding. I actually didn't watch it. I'm not gonna I didn't watch it. I didn't.
Phil?
No, I didn't. I was busy at the time, so I didn't watch it live. But no, thanks for everyone for tuning into the chat. Brice D. Helly in the chat as always. Yeah, that's me. And I should be streaming in about probably half an hour. In fact, I'll probably go live shortly after this and play some Blackout.
Well, I would have hosted you, but
I don't think I'll go live straight away. So
it's okay. Tons.
Okay. Yeah, I'm eating.
Nothing in particular from me. We're on, for anybody who hasn't kept an eye on the EGL Twitter, we are now on Spotify. We are now on Apple Music. We're working on a free one for Android at some point as well. We're working on Google Music. Either way, we're on podcast now, so that's good to eventually get sorted out, Phil.
Sorry.
But we'll obviously always be on YouTube if you haven't missed anything. But you can find us on Spotify and Apple Music currently, so keep an eye on for them. You can follow the channel and everything. It's very, very easy to do. Outside of that, we're back next week, same time, same place, as long as Brice decides to turn up next week as well.
I'll be here to make sure it's a good show. All right. Well, like Tan said, we are now on various podcast channels. So now we will go soft and calming and say thank you all so much for watching Spitfire. It's been a great time. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.